Mrs. Mikey, can you please go over hypotheses again? There's so many terms. I don't know what they mean. Oh yes, I completely get it. There are a lot of terms. So let's talk about the words null and alternative. So the word null means nothing. So this means in the case if someone says create a null hypothesis, you're going to state that nothing is going to happen in this experiment. And believe it or not, alternative hypothesis just means the alternative to nothing happening, which means something happens. So let me get this right. I'm doing this experiment, the effects of caffeine on memory, and I want to write a null hypothesis. I would basically say that caffeine will have no effect on memory. Yes, that's right. That's actually a one-tailed or one-directional null hypothesis. A what? That's right. Null means nothing's going to happen, but the way in which you word your experiment, it's either going to be a one-tailed or two-tailed. In other words, we also call it directional and non-directional. Okay, we're going to go over one-directional and two-directional with alternative hypotheses. You remember what I said an alternative hypothesis was, right? Yes, alternative means that something is going to happen in the experiment. All right, class. In a one-directional or one-tailed hypothesis, we know the exact direction that the data is going to go. So if we have a study that is caffeine's effect on memory, our one-tailed hypothesis is going to be caffeine will increase memory scores. A null one-tailed hypothesis is caffeine will not increase memory scores. Now, in a two-tailed or non-directional hypothesis, we really have no idea which way the data is going to go. When we have a new experiment or a pilot experiment, we normally input a two-tailed hypothesis or a non-directional because we actually don't know which way the data is going to go. Like there hasn't been anything done prior to give us an indication of which way it's going to go. So we can basically say this two-tailed hypothesis a couple different ways. You could say there will be a difference between the caffeine group and the control group on memory scores. You see, we don't actually know which group is going to excel. Or if water was another variable, you could say there will be a change in memory scores between those who drink water and those who consume caffeine. And the two-tailed null? That two-tailed null would say any differences between the control group and the experimental group is due to chance. Or they can say there will be no difference in scores between those who consume water and those who consume caffeine. A really easy way to remember this is by looking at this kitty cat. This cat has one tail and one head. So when you look at this cat, you know which way it's going to walk. So a cat with one tail is like a one-directional or one-tailed hypothesis. Now imagine this cat with two tails, one where the butt is and one where the head is. If you saw this walking down the street, would you know which way this cat is supposed to walk? We would have no idea which direction it's going to go. Hence, two-tailed. Thank you so much for explaining that, Miss Mikey. A cat with two tails makes so much sense. Have you been following A Psychology on TikTok?